back to the Real Estate Reserve podcast with another episode of The Deal That Changed Your Life. We wanted to invite back Brett Swarts. Had him on the podcast a few weeks ago. Figured it'd be great for him to share a story, a deal. Maybe it's a good deal, maybe it's a bad deal, but a deal that changed his life. Brett, hope you're well. Maybe just do a real quick intro, and then you can hop right in.
Yeah, Brett Swarts, founder of Capital Gains Tax Solutions, married 16 years, 5 children, played hoops growing up in basketball, played in college, which is kind of cool. Originally from California, now in St. Augustine, Florida. So yeah, the deal that changed my life. So I might do 2, but I'll just start with definitely the first one. I think it really comes down to a sale of an asset where I had called the owner for 15 years. Okay. 15 years. And I'm a California real estate broker by trade and now founder of Capital Gains Tax Solutions, and worked with the family, multi-generational type of stuff. And then it came down to the wire where we had, we actually did that 10X type of listing where you get a chance to get all the bidding environment going. Right. And at the very end, we got a record price, blew it out of the water. And I was like, oh gosh, this is it. It's going to close. And then the buyer or the seller actually kind of got cold feet and wanted to just, not do the deal. And all of a sudden, oh my gosh, this is the difference between a huge check that will give us the opportunity to fund our next venture, which is basically moving our 5 kids over to Florida. And so it was a huge deal, and then it closed. And so it worked out. The check was one of the biggest checks we've ever had. Huge check, huge deal. So that one changed my life. And so that's the positive one. I can give you the negative one too. That changed my life if you'd like. And the negative one was the deal that actually didn't happen. Sat down with the gentleman because we didn't have a solution for his capital gains tax. And this is kind of the foundation of, if you listen to the other podcast, why we started it. And his name was Steve. Now, Steve was kind of the hero that I wanted to be. See, at Marcus and Military, we make these cold calls. And one of the goals is to get on the other side of the phone. So you cold call the people to learn the business, sell enough, make enough commissions, invest into these deals so that then you could be the guy who's getting the cold called, right? So that was our goal. And so Steve was one of those gentlemen. He had built a portfolio of multifamily and housing, about $50 million worth of real estate, all in the Sacramento region. He had 2 kids. He had the big house, big old driveway. I never forget driving this driveway. It was one of those ones that turned all the way in. It had an enter, a one-way enter and exit. And I was like, this guy's amazing. And he was cool. I played basketball with him, great guy, married, doing all the things. And I remember sitting down with Steve going, Steve, man, your properties, they're there's some C properties, there's some B properties. We're you're kind of in some tough spots. The market, this is 2000, this is the beginning of 2007. So the market's still pretty hot, right? But we think something's going to change here. We think you maybe should sell. And he goes, well, I would, Brett, but I don't have a capital gains tax exit plan. And I'm tired of 1031ing. I've been 1031ing my entire, all the way up. And I'm afraid that if I sell, I'm going to buy higher. And so I'm not going to do anything. And I'm like, man, I don't blame you. Because of where we're at, gosh, that's hard. So we walked away from that deal, didn't list his properties, didn't help him at all. Over the next 3 years, he lost everything. And the worst part about it was he lost his $50 million of real estate. He lost his house. He went bankrupt. And he lost his marriage. And this is the part where it hit home for me because, see, growing up, my parents were divorced. And my parents were very wealthy in real estate before they were divorced. And they made all kinds of money, right? And we thought we were living the dream of of wealth in America and all this stuff. And fast forward, my parents get divorced and I live with my mom and my dad doesn't pay any child support. The worst part about that, though, is I was 90% of the time with my mom and about 10% with my dad. How do you get to spend time with my dad? But the family was broken and wealth became this thing that would break the family apart. And I couldn't help but think that Steve, and he had 2 sons. See, I had an older brother that was 2 years older than me. We were the first to graduate college on either side of our family. And I couldn't help but think that Steve now wouldn't be with his 2 sons, right? I and my brother weren't with my dad. And so it broke my heart to say, just maybe, and I don't know if a capital gains tax solution would have solved all of his marriage problems, but I do know that money fights and money problems are the number one reason for divorce. And I thought if we can help one family not have to face the trap of being stuck in a business, stuck in real estate, that's maybe pulling away from your marriage and your life, right? And then you get sunk in the debt and you get sunk on deals that you knew you could sell if you could sell and be diversified and be out of debt and tax deferred, that perhaps there was a better way. And so really that's honestly the foundation of our entire company at Capital Gains Tax Solutions. It's what we do. It's to unlock capital gains to multiply freedom and impact for families. And that's a deal that I didn't do, that I wish I had the solution to do before. And I didn't learn about the strategy until a couple of years later. And that's now what we try to help families do.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, pretty powerful. And it just goes to show you that you need to always be learning every tool in the toolbox, whether you deploy it or not. It's just always good to have. If you want to learn more about what Brett's referring to in the deferred sales trust, go check out the other show a few weeks ago that we did. And it'll be really good info, and you can get the ins and outs of how it works, because my mind's blown as an operator of how we can defer. I know Jason in his business, it's a little harder to execute, but there's great opportunities for all of us here. So yeah, I think that's awesome that, it's awesome. The story's good and resonating. It's not awesome what happened to the guy, but you bring up a very valid point that you always need to be looking. You always need to have multiple exits. You need to always be staying in tune with what's in the market. So with all that being said, Brett, where's the best place people can find you? They want to learn more about this way of doing business and potentially saving some taxes.
Yeah, you go to brettswarts.com for all of our stuff. We have access to the book, Building a Capital Gains Tax Exit Plan. And then we also have capitalgainstaxsolutions.com if you want to get started. If you have $1 million net proceeds, $1 million gain, kind of bigger exit, and you want to get a one-on-one consultation, no cost, for one of my team members.
Great. We'll get that in the show notes, guys, and then go back and check out the other show where we went in depth on this. And Brett, thanks for coming back on. We appreciate you guys. If you got any value out of this, please share the show. Brett's dropped bombs twice for us now, and we will catch you guys on the next.
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Reserve podcast. Do us a favor and like, comment, and share our broadcast. It helps the algorithm and helps us spread the word too. Till next time, thank you for tuning in.